at least what I've noticed recently, and it's I don't know if this is a negative or a positive. I gotta assume that it's more negative, but we're noticing that athletes are using holdouts as negotiation tactics. And I was just thinking about it the other day. I was talking to some of our colleagues and friends, and I'm like, I understand where some of these running backs might be coming from because, they want to get paid as much as possible because who knows? I mean, their career could be ending in another year. We don't know, right? But in the same breath, you look at the ownership, and I understand where they, why they feel the way they do. So my question to you as a sports agent where you represent athletes, first of all, is that a good tactic? Because it just seems to me like if I was a general manager, I don't know if I would want to have him on my team because it seems like he might do that with us now. I don't know. But what's your opinion on this?
Anytime you see a confrontation like that, it means there's been a total failure in the negotiation proceeding up to it. In other words, there have been so many moments where they could have solved that situation prior to training camp. And the best way to try to do an extension or a renegotiation is to do it quietly behind the scenes. And allow the team to step forward and say, well, we renewed Jonathan Taylor because we thought that he was such a great player. When you put public pressure on someone and confront them and push their back to the wall, what you get is deadlock. And in deadlock, unintended consequences could happen. So you start a relationship and it starts out being just about money. And by the end of it, it's broken. And something that you didn't think would happen, which is a key critical player, leaving the team happens. But let's separate the situation. Saquon Barkley did not have a contract. So yes, he was, quote, holding out, but in reality, there were no penalties or fines or anything that accrued. Two other players who were running backs were also under the franchise, and so they weren't technically holding out. When you take a player who has a signed contract with 2023 as one of the years on it, he's violating that contract, and the penalties are draconian. He can be fined $30,000-$40,000 a day. They can, if he's not in camp, they can send him a 10-day letter, and he's got to come into camp. I mean, it doesn't get good. When you put an NFL team's back up against the wall and everyone in the public sees there's a confrontation going on, it makes it difficult, and it really makes it hard to trade a player, because when you have an incumbent player demanding to be traded, the whole rest of the league knows he's damaged goods, and the team may end up, worst case, having to cut him. So why should they give up big trade value when this player may become available to them? It then puts the incumbent team into a much rougher circumstance to problem solve.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Jacobs, I believe, has another year on his contract. He still hasn't reported to camp. The season's going to start like in a week and a half or something. We saw Le'Veon Bell go through this, and clearly it was a bad decision on his part because we all know what happened there. Now he's boxing somewhere, celebrity boxing. I just, like you said, it could damage your reputation, I think, in the league. If, Jonathan Taylor just got the okay to go and look for a new home, if you will, to be traded. Now, I don't know who's going to, want him, but there's certainly other teams out there that might need his skill because he is certainly one of the best out there right now, like maybe Miami. But